What up? Morning. How's everybody doing? This Friday morning, getting ready to walk into the weekend, the first weekend in January. Shout out to the rest of the FNS family. Matt with Freeze Corner. Louisha and Andrea, Wives Unscripted. The whole FNS podcast fan. Coming at y'all this morning, man. After the second round of the college football playoff has been, it's came to its finish, and we got the winners and the matchups to look forward to for the third round, going into the winners going to the championship game after this third round. We seen Boise State versus Penn State, and Penn State pretty much had control of the game. Ashton Jeanty unfortunately wasn't able to pop off like how many people was hoping for, but that was kind of to be expected. Personally, for me, I didn't expect them to beat Penn State, nor did I expect him to go off like how he's been doing. Penn State is the best team that they've played all season, and this is a team that has a steady diet of good teams, whereas Boise State, they play in the conference where they might be the only good team there. And they just continuing the narrative that's always been with Boise State. They continuing that narrative, bro. Like, yeah, you guys are good playing against all of them, but when y'all play against a real team that is legit, y'all get beat. That's what narrative is continuing here. So unfortunately, that's the end of the Boise State Broncos. Ashton Jeanty's going to the draft, probably going to be the first running back selected. Looking forward to see what he does, though, because he was looking dangerous. I mean, I know we want to say the competition thing again, but for him, there was things that he was doing, even in the Penn State game, that showed that he's more than willing and capable of doing this, playing this position at a high level. Being what he is, shiftiness was on display. He did fumble twice, so that's probably going to haunt him for a while, because he doesn't really have a fumbling problem. But he did fumble twice in the Penn State game. But he did advertise a lot of what he has to offer. Penn State now, they was supposed to be like one of the best run defenses in the league in college football. Like, I think they didn't allow, or it was something to the nature of not allowing a running back to get 100 yards on him. Ashton Jeanty got 100 on him. 100, a little bit over 100. But it was like, he's the life of that whole offense. He's the life of that whole team. If he's not going, then the rest of the team wasn't going. They was able to make a few plays here and there, but for the most part, they wasn't able to be who they were that got them there. So Penn State won their game, and they play the winner. They play the winner of Notre Dame and Georgia. That game, unfortunately, was postponed. Everybody know the news about the whole situation over there in Bourbon Street in New Orleans with the terrorist attack. Dude driving that F-150 through a crowd, killing folks and hurting people. Just another situation that lets you know, be careful when you go outside. Be aware of your surroundings. But anyway, Georgia and Notre Dame, man. Georgia was coming into this game without their starting quarterback, Carson Beck. And not that he's played amazing this year, but the starter is the starter for a reason. And the starter had chemistry with the team. And they was able to win games like this all season where they were down, wasn't looking good. They was able to win games like that and continue to be viewed as one of the top teams in the league, even while playing bad with Carson Beck. Well, now he's not there, and they got the backup quarterback in, which is he didn't play bad. You know, I mean, like, it was just one of those things where this moment was probably too big for him. You know, let him get more time to develop chemistry with the team, real practice reps with the ones, a full training camp and whatnot, then he might look a completely different quarterback. But that game, it was a little bit closer than what it looked on the scoreboard. The biggest play that was made in that game probably was the kickoff return in the second half. The kickoff return that added that extra separation for Notre Dame. Notre Dame, as of the last, couple of decades, whenever Notre Dame has a good team, they can compete with the best teams in the league, but they never win. And Georgia is not as strong as we are used to seeing Georgia be for the past, 5 years? You can say that? For the past 5 years? They're not that same strength this year. So beating Georgia, yeah, it sounds good, but it doesn't sound the same when you look at the roster differences, you know what I'm saying? But you still beat Georgia. They got the quarterback, Riley Leonard. Not the biggest fan of him. You know, he seems to be ultra reliant on his legs. So it seems like a good team, they would be able to, limit him a lot, which is Georgia for the most part. Like, he wasn't that much of a threat throwing the ball, but he was getting busy when he was running. You know, it was these little 5, 6 yard, 7 yard runs that kept drives alive or turned it into third and short instead of third and long that he kept on doing. You know what I'm saying? So it was like he was able to have his footprint on the game that way. Yeah, man, like Notre Dame this year, they're a tough team to play. They're normally strong in the trenches, which is they look that way again. Georgia wasn't able to really run the ball as effectively as they would like to. And Georgia wasn't able to stop a lot of the run game as much as we're normally used to seeing them do. Anytime you lose the battle in the trenches, man, you always set yourself up to have a long day. Fight hard to try to win those games. The only thing that I would say that Georgia probably should have done from the beginning is that they should have let that quarterback throw the ball downfield more. Because this is not one of those things where you want to try to dice a team up. That's something that you want to do with a quarterback that got the chemistry and whatnot. For them, their best chance to win this game probably was taking more deep shots downfield, you know? And given that line that he got wasn't giving him the best protection. wasn't giving him the best protection, but you seen that he was able to get off some throws throughout the game, just not consistently throughout the game. I would say that they should have tried to make that a point of their attack on offense a little bit more, because they went trying to rely too much on the run game against a team that's kind of ready for that, especially a team that knows that you don't got the quarterback that you're used to playing with. So it was really like, we're going to make that quarterback beat us. And in my personal opinion, that shouldn't stop you from taking shots downfield, especially if you're trying to run the ball. If you take shots downfield, you limit how many players come into that box. So your running game, while it might not be as explosive as you want it to be, it can be consistently effective. But that's just my opinion, though. But Notre Dame was able to, hold on to that win and beat them. It stayed like a 2-possession game for the longest. It felt like Notre Dame should have been blowing out Georgia, but they just couldn't do it because their offense themselves is not like all that great. So for them to hold on to that win, they will be playing against Penn State. I do not think that they can beat Penn State. And I'm not the biggest fan of Penn State either. But Penn State is one of those teams that kind of like Notre Dame a little bit. When they have a good team, they're normally tough up front. They don't really have the best quarterback play in the world, but they got 2 running backs that they like to use. But that tight end that they got, 44, I don't remember what his name is off the top of my head, man, but he looks like he's going to be the first tight end picked in this year's NFL's draft. They got something in the passing game. And when you look at the games that they lost against, like the Oregon and whatnot, they were able to score some points. I think this could be a game where Notre Dame may lose because they just aren't able to score. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I don't got all the faith in the world in Penn State neither. Like Penn State, they're just like some of the other teams that we talked about. They can have a good team, but they never win the big games. That's why I have trust issues with them too. So this game might be a close game. It just might be a close game between them two. And it might go down to the wire. I think if I was to have to choose, I got Penn State to win this game, probably by 2 scores. I say by 2 scores, I think Penn State can win this game. But then going on to the other 2 games, Texas and Arizona. This was a game, Texas-Arizona State, correct myself. This was a game that, going into it, I was preparing myself mentally for a possible blowout. Texas, from top to bottom, much more talented roster. But Arizona State came out with the mentality that we gonna punch folks in the mouth. They running back Cam Scatterboo. Man, like, he was as advertised, bro. I mean, he looks like a muscle running with the football. And he plays like that. He bounces off of tacklers, extends runs, stiff-arming folks. Like, and he was able to do a little something catching the ball out of the backfield, too. Like, Arizona State, they gave Texas everything that they can handle as far as a team that's willing to just keep punching them in the mouth. I thought that Texas should have blown them out. And it was looking like it was going to potentially turn into that. But shout out to the coach, I believe his name, Dillingham, rallying the troops, getting them to keep fighting, stayed the course. Man, that right there, that was probably the best game between the 4 games that we seen of the college football playoff. That game went to double overtime, I think it was. Man. And Texas is like, with all that talent, and to somewhat have to fight to survive a team like this. A team that was coming at y'all just constantly just going to just keep running the ball down your throats, forcing people to tackle. And he wasn't just making like little DBs miss tackles. Like, he was making defensive linemen miss tackles. He was making linebackers. Everybody on the field that had a chance to tackle Cam, it was like he made them miss the tackle too. Like, they really had to rally to him to get him down. That was an effective, that was a really good performance by him. Sucks for him that they lost. I'm not sure if he's going to the draft yet or not. I haven't seen that yet. But man, you talking about one gaining your respect, because Arizona State is another one of those teams that really has never been in this kind of conversation. Even before the playoff, like I don't remember the last time when Arizona State was in the conversation of potentially being able to win a national championship. Like, this is a team that has been one of the bottom teams in the league for most of the last couple of decades. To go from that to being the number 4 seeded team in the college football playoff, where there's 12 teams featured, man, that says a lot about what the head coach and the teams put together over there. The only thing is, can they keep this up? Can they keep this up? Because now teams know what's coming, especially if you still have Cam Scatterboo on your roster. You can't catch him by surprise no more. And who knows what happens with this transfer portal stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, this transfer portal stuff is kind of getting out of hand. Good teams can flip and go to bad really quick just because players want to leave to go try to make some money, which is, you know, like, I can't knock a player for wanting to go make money, but it's bad for the sport. But, you know, Arizona State was able to make it a dog fight. Literally willing to die out there on the field. That was something right there. The unfortunate ending, man, like, to end on that interception. Like, I would have lived and died with Cam Scatterboo. Whether I'm handed it off to him or I'm throwing it to him, that would have been the way I lived and died, bro. I mean, this kind of had feelings of the Super Bowl with the Seahawks and the Patriots, throwing the ball at the goal line when you got Marshawn Lynch back there. Like, it kind of had those kind of feelings a little bit for me, because when you got a running back that's just been physically killing every single matchup that he's faced in this league, I would have kept feeding him, called all the timeouts necessary for him to catch his breather and give him the ball again. Find a way to get him the ball again to make people miss, because that's essentially what he was doing. Texas is kind of underachieving to play down to their roster level, because Texas got all the talent that should be able to beat a team like this. I'm going to say with ease. They could have took Cam Scatterboo out the game early just by continuing to put points on the board, because they should be capable of doing that. But Quinn Ewers is, you know, he's probably a little overrated. not all that great, and he's taking up starting time. Next year they're gonna get Arch Manning. Sorry, Arch Manning, not Archie. Arch Manning. He has a higher ceiling for quarterback play between them two, so they're gonna see what they got in him. But to struggle the way they did defensively to stop them, like they didn't look like they was ready for a physical fight, like or that they was capable of winning the physical fight. That was something right there to be seen. But Texas was able to win on an interception in the red zone in the overtime. Freshman quarterback on Arizona State. Got to give shout out to him too, because he played with some heart out there too. But as a freshman to play that well, to be able to contribute to that team against a team like Texas and make his fair share of plays. Unfortunately, this interception, kind of like Genty, this is going to be one of those plays that may haunt him. And hopefully it drives him to become an even better player. We'll see what happens, though. But Texas plays against the winner of Ohio State and Oregon. And this wasn't a game from the very beginning. This was probably one of the disappointing matchups, because seeing how close this game was the very first time they met up in the regular season, how it went down to the wire, to get blown out the way they did. Ohio State put hands and feet all over Oregon. All over them. I mean, they started off just flexing their talent muscle. Jeremiah Smith, freshman wide receiver, showed y'all, man. He is going to be, because he already is, but he is going to be a superstar in this league. Going to be the first wide receiver pick to come out the draft, probably when he does come out, barring no serious injuries. But this right here was the whooping that I personally didn't see coming. I thought that this was going to be at least a competitive game. I had Ohio State winning. But I didn't know it was going to be in this fashion. I didn't know that it was going to be in this fashion. Man, like, they was throwing the ball down the field. Jeremiah Smith was able to make all kind of plays. And then when they made those plays downfield, you seen the run game, kind of like be effective there. Oregon, Dylan Gabriel did what he could. He looks like a little guy out there, though. Like, he did look like a little guy out there. Like, he was not like if you was to judge by size, he looked like he belonged in like some Division II league, like probably play for North Dakota State or something like that. That's what he looked like size wise. But his play, I ain't gonna hate on him with his play, because his play wasn't bad, man. Like, he just didn't have much of a chance. Like, he was scrambling trying to make plays. Nobody was really open. Nobody was really getting open. Ohio State made it a point to lock up everybody. And by the time folks would break free, he's running for his life just to be able to potentially get a throw off. They defense was wrecking everything. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't do nothing with the ball, dog. 91 on Ohio State. The defensive tackle. He like 300 plus pounds, dude. He was wrecking everything up front. And then 33 Sawyer, I think that's his name, he was out there getting busy too, coming off the edge to rush and sack Gabriel and everything. Like, they was, and then like when they spread out, you seen Ohio State look like they started to relax in the game, and that's when like Oregon was able to do a little bit of something. But even then, Ohio State was just like, all right, well, let's make another play. And they were spread back out on them. That game wasn't competitive from the beginning to the end. Regardless of what Oregon did, it never felt like they was going to come back and make it close. It never felt like they was going to come back and be competitive. It felt like, oh, y'all did something just because they laying off the gas. And when they put the gas back on, you saw it again. Ohio State matches up against Texas. And to be honest with you, man, based on the way things have been going down, Texas is in for it right now, because Ohio State, if I had to choose right now, I'll probably say that they're gonna win it all. I probably say that they're gonna probably win it all. I think Penn State stands a better chance to beat Ohio State just because they are familiar with them. They played each other earlier this year. That was a one-possession game. Ohio State won 20-13 at Penn State's home field. So I don't see, I can see this being a competitive game from the beginning. Now, will it be that? We have to wait and see, because once again, Ohio State's talent on that roster, man, like, Texas is gonna have to match that if they want to really win. I don't know if they will. With Ewers being inconsistent with what he is, I'm not sure if he's ready for this kind of a fight right here. But then again, with a team like Texas, if they show up to play, this could be a very competitive game. It could be a very competitive game. But I don't got much faith in Ewers to show up like that. Texas has their fair share of players coming out that's going to be, highly sought after. But the other thing, though, about Ohio State that's going to make it tough is that, like, when you look at their defense, outside of Caleb Downs, the transfer from Alabama, all their defense is like fifth-year seniors. So these is guys that's played in a lot of big games. They got the chemistry with each other. They know how to play with each other. And playing in front of the big game, they took their lumps and their bruises and whatnot. And it looks like they learned their lessons and they ready for the team to take the next step, this team. So if I was to put my final opinion on what we might look at, I think it's going to be Ohio State versus Penn State for the national championship. And I think that's going to be another game where Ohio State, their overall roster talent is going to flex its muscle a little bit. I don't expect it to look like what this Oregon matchup looked like, but I do expect it to look like they will be able to show and advertise their talent. That's my opinion on that. But we have to wait and see. We got to wait and see. You still play the game for a reason. You never know when players wake up and they don't feel like playing football, or they having a bad day or whatnot. Mental focus. Those are things that, some teams lack and other teams don't. So we'll see what happens. But it's been a good first year. It might not have been the best, might not have met everybody's wants out of it, but this is the first year with 12 teams. If your team didn't make it, dog, blame your team, because you shouldn't be arguing or getting mad that they wasn't a top 12 team in the country when it used to be just 4. Your team wasn't even good enough to be viewed as top 10 if they didn't make it. So, I mean, look, this is a good start. Is it perfect? Most likely not. I mean, there's always going to be some politics involved and stuff. They probably going to expand it a little bit. Probably don't like all them buys. Those 4 teams having buys. I heard people say that, like Boise State having a bye didn't make sense to them. Arizona State having a bye didn't make sense to them. So, it is what it is. But, they probably might add 4 more teams, just take away the buys, just to have more football. I'm not opposed to it, so we'll see what happens with that. But in other news, man, unfortunately, going to basketball, to the Detroit Pistons, man, Jaden Ivey getting injured. He looks like it's a season-ending injury, but I heard that it's no ligament damage. So while he still will be out, he will have that going for him, that he doesn't have no ligament damage. So, we'll see. I mean, that's just what I heard. Not saying that that's the final, but that's just what I heard. Ivy, from what I seen from him, he's the one that attacks the basket hard, like a Russell Westbrook-like mentality attacking the basket. And they said that he was shooting the ball well, like he was shooting over 40% and whatnot. Pretty good to go down, and he was starting to get that chemistry with Cade. The Pistons right now was looking, they're in play-in position, which is, miles better than what they was last year. Last year they only won, 14, 15 games throughout the whole 82, and they've won 15 games already. So this is a blow for them. Nobody ever looked at the Pistons this season as being like a legit playoff team or contenders or anything like that. But the play-in team, for them to reach that was very realistic. But the way that the team was playing, with their chemistry starting to build and whatnot, you never know what can turn out for things like that, especially with trade deadlines and stuff like that. You never know what move a team might make to make the acquisition for a player that can help their team take it to the next level. But now without Ivy, and mainly just with Cade and the rest of the young players, they still have a good young team. One of the things that I heard yesterday is, what do they do now? Do they make a move that says that they're still trying to fight to be a play-in team, or do they make the decisions with the roster lineups that shows that they're trying to do what's best for the team long term, which is essentially means give more clock to the young players. For a team like the Pistons, I would say give more clock to the young players, because ultimately that's what you want this team to be for next year and beyond. You want those young players to be able to carry the torch. So this, while this is a blow, this isn't one of those devastating blows to like a championship contending team, playoff team. Like, this is a blow to like building that chemistry for the future. So unfortunate news for him, but If that news that came out that he didn't have no ligament damages out is true, then he should just be fine. He should be fine, and he shouldn't have to worry about that constant lingering of the injury, or extra more than the time necessary to heal to be taken. He should be able to to get his surgery that he needs, let it heal, start the rehab, and be back ready by next season. But outside of that, man, that's it for me this morning. Hope y'all have a good day walking into the weekend. Be safe out there. Peace.